A poor man reached into his pocket, only one coin remained. He smiled. Not because he had enough, but because he still had a choice. Every day, he walked the same dusty road searching for work. Some days, he earned just enough to buy a meal. Other days, he returned home with nothing at all. That morning, he reached into his pocket and found only one small coin. It was enough to buy a single piece of bread. As he approached the bakery, the smell of fresh bread filled the air. But before he could step inside, he noticed an elderly woman sitting quietly beside the sidewalk. She looked weak, tired, and painfully hungry. Without saying a word, he knelt beside her and gently placed his last coin into her trembling hand. The woman looked up with tears in her eyes. The poor man simply smiled and walked away with an empty stomach, but a heart full of peace. From inside the bakery, the owner had been watching everything through the window. The next morning, he stopped the poor man and said, "I saw what you did yesterday. I've been looking for someone honest. If you're willing to work hard, the job is yours." That single act of kindness became the beginning of a brand new life. Lesson: sometimes, the smallest gift carries the greatest blessing. If this story touched your heart, please like, follow, and subscribe for more inspiring stories. What would you have done if that last coin had been yours?
A young man rushed out of a coffee shop and accidentally left his old umbrella behind. Hours later, an elderly woman walked in, soaked from the rain. She looked tired and had no umbrella. The shop owner noticed the forgotten umbrella. Instead of putting it in the lost and found, he handed it to her and said, "Someone left this maybe today. It belongs to you." She smiled with grateful eyes and quietly walked into the rain. The next day, the young man returned looking for his umbrella. The owner apologized and explained what had happened. The young man paused, then smiled. "I'm glad it kept someone dry," he said. Sometimes, what we lose becomes someone else's blessing. Powerful lesson: kindness isn't measured by what you keep, but by what you're willing to let go. Every morning, an old man prepared breakfast for someone who would never eat it. For 30 years, breakfast was never just a meal. It was laughter, conversation, love served onto plates. Then one morning, one chair stayed empty. His wife had quietly passed away. Everyone told him, "It gets easier with time." But every sunrise, he still placed a second plate on the table. He still poured 2 cups of coffee. He still pulled out her chair. Neighbors thought he couldn't let go. They never realized he wasn't waiting for her to come back. He was trying to keep the love they built alive. Then one rainy morning, a little girl knocked on his door. She had been walking to school on an empty stomach. The old man looked at the untouched plate, then at the little girl. A gentle smile appeared. He pulled out the second chair. "Sit." As she ate the breakfast he'd been making every morning, finally found someone who needed it. And for the first time, the empty chair didn't feel empty anymore. His wife never came back, but somehow, his table was never empty again. Because love, shared with others, always finds its way home. The greatest way to honor the people we lose is to give their love to someone who still needs it.
Day after day, people saw the same lonely dog sitting on an old railway track. They tried calling him. They offered food. Some even tried to carry him away. But every time, he quietly returned to the exact same spot. As rain poured and the nights grew colder, the dog refused to leave. The town began to wonder what he was waiting for. On the third day, an elderly railroad worker noticed faint cries beneath the broken wooden planks beside the tracks. He carefully looked inside. 3 tiny newborn puppies were trapped in a narrow drainage tunnel. The dog wasn't guarding the tracks. He was protecting his babies. Rescuers gently lifted each puppy to safety. Only after the last puppy was safe did the exhausted father finally stand up. Weeks later, the brave mother dog and all 3 puppies found a forever home together. Sometimes the greatest heroes never speak a single word. What's the most loyal thing you've ever seen an animal do? A little girl had a simple habit. Every single morning, she planted one tiny seed. Just one. People laughed and said, "One seed won't change anything." But she smiled and came back the next day. Days became weeks. Weeks became months. Slowly, green sprouts appeared. Then colorful flowers. Soon, butterflies filled the garden, birds returned, and neighbors began planting seeds too. Years later, what was once an empty field became the most beautiful place in the town. All because one little girl refused to believe that small actions were meaningless. Never underestimate the power of doing one small, good thing every day. Lesson: small actions, repeated every day, can grow into extraordinary change.
Every single day, he ate lunch alone. The cafeteria was always full, but the seat beside him stayed empty. Students laughed with their friends while he quietly finished his meal. One afternoon, someone finally sat beside him. It wasn't another student. It was the school janitor. He smiled, shared his lunch, and asked, "How's your day?" The next day, he came back. Then the day after that. Soon, other students noticed. One by one, they started sitting with the boy too. Months later, he was never alone again. Sometimes, changing someone's life starts with simply sitting beside them. Now I'm curious, if you saw someone eating alone, what would you do?
He had 10 million followers. But on his birthday, not a single person showed up. Why? His phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Thousands of birthday messages. Millions of likes. Brands sent expensive gifts. But when he looked around, the room was empty. He waited. 1 hour, 2 hours, 3. No friends, no family, just silence. That night, he walked outside carrying the untouched birthday cake. On a nearby bench sat an elderly man, eating instant noodles alone. The old man smiled and said, "Happy birthday." It was the first time someone had looked him in the eyes instead of at his follower count. They shared the cake together, for the first time in years. He laughed. The next morning, he deleted every app that made him chase attention. Instead, he started spending time with real people. Months later, he had far fewer followers, but more friends than ever before, because real happiness isn't measured by likes. It's measured by the people who stay when the screen turns off. What would you choose, 10 million followers or 10 real friends?
A man spent his entire life blaming everyone else for his failures. His boss, his family, his friends, even bad luck. Every time something went wrong, he pointed a finger at someone else. Years passed, but nothing in his life changed. One day, an old man handed him a mirror and said, "The person with the greatest power to change your life is standing right in front of you." The man looked into the mirror. For the first time, he stopped making excuses. Instead of asking, "Whose fault is this?" he asked, "What can I do better?" Slowly, his life began to change, not because the world became easier, but because he finally took responsibility for his own choices. Blaming others may protect your pride, but taking responsibility is what changes your life.
Every night, the same thing happened. The plates rattled, doors slammed, two voices became louder and louder until one small child quietly covered their ears in the corner of their room. No one noticed. The next morning, everything looked normal. The parents smiled at other people. The child smiled too, but learned something dangerous. Love is loud. Years passed.
At school, the child apologized for things that weren't their fault. They became afraid whenever someone raised their voice. They learned to read people's moods before speaking, not because they were polite, because they were surviving. As an adult, they found it difficult to trust. A simple disagreement felt like the beginning of another disaster. They stayed in unhealthy relationships because chaos felt familiar. Sometimes they pushed good people away before they could be abandoned. They didn't know why. Until one day, they realized the child inside them was still hiding in that bedroom, waiting for the shouting to stop. Healing didn't erase the past, but it taught them something their childhood never could. Real love doesn't make you feel afraid. Real love makes you feel safe. If you grew up in a home full of fighting, what happened wasn't the end of your story. You can learn a different kind of love in one day. The home you build can be quieter than the one you survived.